Hi, it's David and my daughter, Felicia,
Hi.
from Life with Parkinson's. We've got a real treat today. Felicia's offered to do a 3-part interview with us, and we're very excited. Very excited.
Very excited.
I've been badgering her for days about what we're going to talk about. But basically, she has her own chronic illness, type 1 diabetes, which was 15 years ago?
March 20th of 2008.
Wow, 15 years ago.
A long time now.
Wow, a lot's happened since then.
I got 10 years on you.
Yeah, you got 10 years on me. Well, this year's my 6-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So
9 years.
9 years. Well,
Technicality.
Yeah, we're not gonna try and cut corners and squabble over a couple little hairs, but yeah. So it's basically been 9 years. So we're going to talk about how her illness affected everyone's life, well, basically her life in general, and then talk about basically how Parkinson's affected her pre-diagnosis and then post-diagnosis. So we've got a lot of ground here to cover. So basically, do you want to introduce yourself and just say a few words about yourself so the audience
A few words, okay.
gets to know you a little bit better?
I'm Felicia. I'm my parents' youngest, so I'm 23, and I'm a hairdresser, and I also work with a nonprofit called Young Life over on Vancouver Island. And yeah, I'm a type 1 diabetic, and that's always been a bit of a wild ride, and I'm pretty excited to come on the channel and just kind of like introduce myself and kind of talk about diabetes a little bit, because I think after my dad was diagnosed, I think that kind of helped him see what it was like to live with a chronic illness, with stuff that I was going through. But while he got diagnosed with Parkinson as an adult, I've had diabetes since I was 8, so it's a little bit different. But I do also feel like it's kind of brought our relationship a bit closer together too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so now. Oh, 1 second. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to do this interview. I'm tripping over my words.
You should make like a blooper reel or something with it.
Oh, this will definitely be in there. I might just leave this right where it is right now.
You're way too excited. It's been like a whole month of talking about how excited you've been. Okay.
This will be on the blooper reel.
Composure.
Okay, Heart of Stone. Okay, Felicia, let's talk about the events leading up to your diagnosis, and basically how you saw it through your own eyes, because it was a pretty traumatic experience for me, watching my daughter take off in a helicopter and fly to Vancouver.
Yeah.
I was like, am I ever going to see her again?
Yeah.
So what did you feel like? How did it go for you?
Well, it was like grade 3 when the symptoms started, but I don't think I remember anything of my 3rd year in school. I don't think I remember anything of being in grade 3.
Yeah, you missed a lot of school.
I missed a lot of school. I remember going to school like for the first day, because Zach and I had transferred to the elementary school we went for grade 3 and for the rest of our years. And I remember being escorted to the classroom, and then my next memory of grade 3 is throwing up in a toilet at home.
Yeah,
that wasn't fun.
That was not fun time.
Yeah, I think it was like for 6 months, you and Mom told me after that like you had been meeting with like the teachers and the principal because I hadn't been learning, I hadn't been growing.
Yeah.
My attitude had changed a lot. I was getting really angry and really sassy. Like I think I also have a memory of me just like throwing a huge temper tantrum, like because you put me to the corner.
Yeah.
Because I did something probably. I just remember like crying on the floor and like kicking the wall because I was so upset. I don't remember what I was upset about. So my blood sugars have probably gone quite high, because when your blood sugars go high, you get really angry, you get really upset, you don't really know how to control your emotions. So I remember that. And then I remember I started getting really sick. And I remember it was over Easter weekend.
Yeah, Easter weekend.
When I got diagnosed. And I remember, because you had just fallen off a ladder too, like a year or something before. So Dad's leg was broken, and I remember I was laying on the couch. You had made me like an egg butty, or like an egg sandwich, so we called an egg butty. And I remember I had thrown that up, and you felt really bad. And then I remember Zach called because he was throwing up in a ditch trying to walk home from school.
It was a really bad day.
It was a really bad Easter weekend. Zach was throwing up in a ditch, and he was trying to call you to come pick you up, but you couldn't leave me because I was throwing up in the toilet. I remember that. And then everyone came over. I don't know why everyone came over for Easter weekend. Like, the whole entire family was over. Like, my aunties, my cousins, our grandparents. Why was everyone over?
It's Easter. We get together.
Yeah, but I was throwing up the whole week. Anyways, everyone was over. And then I remember the night before you had gotten Mom, because it was also 2 days after Mom's birthday.
Yeah.
So you had gotten Mom a book about Lori McDaniel. It's called The Last Dance.
Yeah.
And that character had all the same symptoms that I had. So my instantly clicked for Mom. Like, Mom's like a superhero in this. Like, instantly clicked for Mom. She's like, my kid probably has diabetes.
Yeah.
And then I remember waking up. You had given me yogurt for breakfast. And then I just remember, like, you came into my room. You were giving me this yogurt. I was trying to eat this yogurt. I just remember, like, you shouting, like, Haley, we have to take her to the hospital.
Yeah.
Because, like, all my fingers and toes were going blue.
Yeah.
And then I remember, I think someone offered to carry me to the car. But I remember thinking, no, I'm walking to the car.
That would have been me.
Yeah, you probably offered to carry me. And then I walked to the car because I'm fiercely independent. I was like, no, I can walk to the car. I remember walking to the car. I remember Mom driving. Zach was sitting in the front seat. And then I remember I got to the hospital. I had the puke bowl.
Yeah.
That was also our trifle bowl. So I had the puke bowl. And I don't know if this is real or not, but this is like the biggest memory that sticks out in my brain. I remember we were in the waiting room because they were like gonna like put me in a room and stuff. And I remember holding the puke bowl. And I remember I was really scared because I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't know what's happening. I'm 8. I'm at the hospital. Something's wrong with me. I feel something's wrong with me. And I was holding the puke bowl, and I had my little bunny that I still have. And then I just remember like seeing this like really old man that had like a little like one of those little like scooter thingies.
Scooters,
yeah, like, and it was red. It looked like my great granddad's. And I remember he was just like sitting there staring at me, and I was like really really scared. And he was like, it's gonna be okay. Like, you're gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. And I don't know if that was real or not. No one else saw him. So to me, I was like, that's an angel.
Hey, it could have very well been.
Yeah, to me, that's an angel just like telling me like, you're gonna be okay. Like, everything's gonna be okay. And then I remember waking up in a hospital bed, and there was a bunch of people in the room, and I don't really know what was happening. I remember I was scared. I remember I got a catheter put on, and I hated that.
Oh, that was not very much fun.
No, I remember screaming a lot for that. I didn't like that. And then I remember I went to the helicopter.
Yeah.
And there was like some paramedics there that were really nice. And my mom was with me in the helicopter. And my poor mom, she was so overtired. Like, she had argued with the doctors all day because they were going to take me into emergency surgery because they thought my appendix was burst or something. And then she was arguing with them, telling them like, no, she has diabetes. Like, I read this book. Like, you need to listen to me. Like, I know my daughter. And the doctor was really great because he ended up listening. And they tested me for diabetes, and he was like, are you a doctor? Are you a nurse? Like, do you have any medical training? She's like, no, I just read a book.
Oh, you should have seen the doctor when he took your blood sample. Yeah. He was running to the lab with
Really?
I'd never seen a doctor run before.
Jeez, that's amazing. What a good doctor.
That's my biggest memory of the whole experience.
That's so cool.
He took your blood, and then he ran to the lab with it to do the test.
Wow, what a good doctor. Because, he I guess they did that, and then he came back and asked her, like, are you a nurse or anything? Yeah. And he's like, well, you're right, she has diabetes. Yeah. And then you guys told me later that, like, he turned to, like, the nurses and stuff and was like, always listen to the mother. Like, they know their children best. So, I thought that was really cool. Good doctor.
Yeah, very good doctor.
Yeah. And then anyways, I remember I got took into the helicopter, and Mom was like, oh, Elise, look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Like, pointing out everything, trying to, like, distract herself. And I remember just laying there, and I just said, Mom, I can't see anything. Like, I'm laying, and I remember the paramedic was laughing.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can't see anything.
Yeah, you got the full stretcher treatment.
Yeah, I got everything.
You were pinned down on that stretcher.
Yeah, I was. And then I remember I got put in the ambulance, and I remember the ambulance being really dark.
Yeah.
And that was scary too. But then I got another bunny, so I had 2 bunnies at this point.
Yeah.
Because the paramedics gave me a bunny. So I had my regular bunny that I had since I was a baby, since I was like 4, and then I got the bunny from the paramedics. And then I remember I fell asleep again, and then they put me in another dark room, and then just like left me and Mom alone.
Oh yeah.
But then the catheter wasn't working, so then I went pee, and then they just left me in this wet bed.
Oh.
I remember that. I don't know.
You're probably being checked into the hospital.
Yeah, probably checked in.
Sometimes that can take a few minutes.
Yeah.
Even if you're coming on the helicopter.
Yeah. And then I don't know where Mom went, but I remember my grandma came, because they were driving down anyways for Easter, and then she brought me a giant bunny. Yeah. So now I had 3 bunnies over Easter. Yeah. I had this, it's like I still have it. It's a giant pink bunny, and my grandparents were just coming down, and then like they just like grabbed it because they're like, Felicia's in the hospital, we gotta go. And then I remember Grandma, just she was talking. I don't know if half of this I don't know if it's actually happened in my brain. But then I remember like Grandma started talking to like the nurses, trying to get like the check-in moved faster because they're like, my granddaughter's here, like, and her bed's wet and everything.
Yeah.
I remember being really scary, but it was, and then I got checked in. We spent 3 days at the hospital. I remember my granddad forced me to walk around the hospital because I was really tired, but he forced me to walk around.
Oh.
Yeah, and he made me go sit outside because I hadn't been outside in a while. And the food was terrible. Food was disgusting. And I remember I had like my IV in, and I had like a little car on it, and I remember that started really hurting, and I started screaming.
Wow. Because
it really hurt. I had to remove it and then re-put it in. The nurse was really nice, though. The nurse that I had, I was really sad when she left me.
Oh, no, Children's Hospital was amazing.
Yeah, it was really good. They were really, really good. And then I remember when they had to give me the needle for the first time. I didn't like that.
No.
I remember I was screaming a lot, and in my memory, I was begging Mom to not make me have a needle.
That's quite possible.
Yeah, I remember that because I remember I was screaming a lot because it really hurt, and I didn't know what was going on. My blood sugar was really high. Mm-hmm. I remember it was really high, and when you have high blood sugars, they need to give you insulin, which breaks down the sugar and the carbs and everything in your body so that it can be digested and stored for energy. Because my pancreas wasn't working. That's the organ that does the insulin hormone. So I remember having the first needle, and I was screaming and crying a lot. I remember that was really traumatic.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, this is pretty traumatic. Some of this stuff I'm hearing for the first time.
Yeah. I remember that. And funny enough, I remember too, because I played the piano. I've played the piano since I was 4. I remember I was so concerned that I was going to miss piano lessons that I was playing the songs I could remember like on my thigh in the bed.
Oh my goodness.
So that
crazy.
So I could tell my piano teacher that I practiced even though I was in the hospital. And I had a very legitimate reason not to practice the piano.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I need a note from your doctor, please.
Yeah.
Being in the hospital is not enough.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, yeah, it's funny because you mentioned a lot of things that are similar to getting Parkinson's. Like just the way you felt, throwing up, and just everything in your body being thrown off. So I know they're 2 totally different chronic illnesses. Yeah. But there seems to be a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is for sure. Like, I know when you've had like your off times, like the way you describe them, they're quite similar to my lows and my highs.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Yeah, like my lows, like I can't really move my body when I feel like I'm low, because you can feel like every bone in your body just like sink down into you when you're really low. Like when I'm waking up in the night and my blood sugar's low, like I feel like I can't breathe because my body feels so tired and exhausted. And it's like a constant fight in my brain to be like, you need to get up and test your blood sugar and take like your glucose tablets, which is just like really gross, fast-acting tablets. They're disgusting. Or like a juice. And it's like it's a constant fight. So I'm like, I need to get up because I know I'm low.
Yeah.
And I need to take these things to help me. But you're so tired. And like my tongue goes completely numb. And my lips go really tingly. And I know you guys and my grandparents have also pointed out that my lips go really white.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, like sometimes I'm also kind of like mean when I'm low. Like my grandma will be like, Felicia, your lips look kind of white. Do you think you should test your blood sugar? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. I don't need to test my blood sugar. And she's like, I just really think you should. And I go, oh, fine, I'll do that. Just do it for you. And then I'll test and I'll be like 3.4 or something. And I'll be like, oh, all right.
Yeah, so it's definitely similar to when I'm off, because when I'm off, I kind of have to do what you do. Talk. I'm a little bit off right now because I just took my pills. Yeah. But I kind of have to like talk my way through something.
Yeah. And like I've been low before. I used to live on my parents' property when I first moved to the town that I live in now. And I remember like one time I was really low and I didn't have anything with me. And I remember I just like was calling them. I gotten through to my friend's husband and I was like, I'm low. And he's like, yeah, you're low. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't got any juices, nearly anything. He's like, do you have sugar? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, just have some sugar water because you can't think. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. He's like, okay. And like got off the phone. And then I had to like mix my sugar water because you can't think straight. You don't know what you're doing.
No, it's exactly the same thing I go through. Yeah,
you have like no idea, and you're just like trying to like logically put things together. And then, like, when you come out of it, you're like, oh, well, I do that every day. Why is it so hard?
Yeah. Do you get anxiety from that as well?
I get anxiety when I'm low, and I get anxiety when I'm high.
Yeah.
I think I get, like, more anxiety when I'm low because I feel like I can't physically move.
Right.
When I'm high, which is when you don't have enough insulin in your body, so, like, you didn't put enough insulin for carbs. Like, my site on my arm, this is my insulin site. So this shoots all the insulin into me. So like this sometimes can break. Everything is made by hand that breaks.
Why can't we make something good?
We cannot. We have no skill. That will shoot your blood sugar high. And I have more energy when I'm high.
Right.
Because like I have like the anger, I have the thirstiness. I talk really fast when I'm high. I talk fast in general, but I talk more fast. But, I mean, if you're high for a long duration of time, that's when you start getting, like, the more flu-like symptoms. You start throwing up. You start feeling really gross. I get, like, egg rotten breath when I'm high. Like, I feel like there's rotten eggs in my mouth, so I never feel clean. That's a big one. I don't feel like I can eat when I'm high, which is funny, because when I'm low, I eat everything in sight.
Right.
So you have no self-control when you're low to eat, but when you're high, you don't want to eat anything.
Yeah, so it's like, I get that too. I get a lot of similar symptoms when I'm low and when I'm high.
Yeah. When you're low and when you're off.
When I'm on and when I'm off. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm a diabetic or I have Parkinson.
What do I have?
What disease do I have? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, but yes, when my meds are a little bit too high or a little bit too on, not really sure what to call it.
I don't know, either off.
I have more energy. I get a lot of dyskinesia.
Yeah, you do.
Moving around, but so I try and go for a walk. But yeah, when I'm off, I can't think. I can't make a decision.
And I can't walk when I'm low either very well.
Really?
Yeah. Because you're so tired, you don't feel like you can stand straight. I have to sit down a lot when I'm low.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we don't live together anymore.
No, we don't. It's been like 5 or 6 years since we've lived together now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like when I go hiking, I go low a lot when I'm hiking because my friends like to do really, really big hikes, and I don't like to do really, really big hikes or like 5-hour hikes. So I go low a lot when I hike. So I'm a really slow hiker, but I have to sit down a lot.
So what do you do in bed at night? Like, how do you deal with being low in bed or high in bed?
Not very well.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because when you got like the comfort linen thing, it was. The comfort linen people think it's really cute. Dad was like raving about how great comfort linen is. He's like, this is the best thing in the world. He's like, I love it. Here's a list of reasons why I love it. And I was like, yeah, go Dad, you know. You know, when your parents talk to you about something a lot and you're like, I've heard this before.
And you want to shut them down.
Yeah, you're like, cool, let's talk about something else. Love you, Dad. He's like, I think this would be really great for your diabetes and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. But then when I was visiting probably like a year and a half ago now or something
That's
like that.
That's about right.
Yeah, a year and a half ago. I went to have a nap. Their bed in Dad's bed. And yeah, it was kind of great. I laid down. I was like, oh, I like this. And then I flipped over. I was like, oh, this is so easy to move. And then when I was it was an hour after I had my nap and I got out and I sheepishly walked up to you and I was like, so the comfort linen stuff's kind of great. And then I ended up ordering some for myself, and it's actually made a difference. Because when you're low, with a low blood sugar, sometimes my lows, they take about 20 minutes to come up. From a below 4 is what they consider a low, but sometimes it takes an hour or two. It's a really bad low, and sometimes I run out of Dex and juice and snacks that I keep all by my bed for my low blood sugars at night. And sometimes the sheets are really, really hot because I also get kind of weird hot flashes when I'm low. I sound like I have everything wrong with me.
Yeah. Are you going through menopause?
Yeah, I might be going through menopause too. I'm 23, but you never know.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get out of bed because I don't feel like I can move and everything. And when I'm high and I need to throw up and a bucket's not by my bed or something, it's hard to get out of bed. So now that I have the comfort linens, I just slip right out of bed. And it only took you 6 months to convince me to get them.
Nice. Well, as part of this video, we're going to be doing a giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to give a pair of pillowcases, a sheet, and bedtime garments. For 28 days after this video is released, you'll have time to enter. All you have to do is just leave a comment, and I'll throw everybody's name in a hat, and my wife Haley will do the draw to keep it all fair to everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, in partnership with Comfort Linen, we're happy to do this giveaway so someone out there can experience.
Experience Comfort Linen.
Yeah, just to experience Comfort Linen. Thanks, Felicia.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for. High five.
High five. Now that we've done that exciting giveaway announcement, so what was it like going back to school and getting back into the thick of things, and how do you think it affected relationships and family?
Well, I don't think I spent that much time going back to school because we went to Disneyland right afterwards.
Oh, well, right, of course.
Yeah, right, of course. You can't go back to school for a week. You go off to Disneyland right after getting diagnosed. Not a big
That's
deal.
Normal.
Yeah. Well, we had gotten, our grandparents had gotten my cousin and my brother and I tickets to Disneyland for Christmas.
Yeah. But before we move on to the next part, just talk a little bit about just before we left the hospital. We had to go through all this training. How did that affect you?
The training was hard for sure because, learning how to take care of a disease at any age isn't easy.
Yeah.
It changes your whole life. It changes your family's life. It changes your friend's life. It changes everything. And the training wasn't. I was 8. It's a lot for an 8-year-old to take in. Learning how to do your own needles, learning what the heck a blood test or glucose is, learning, you're going to have to, count everything you put into your body, you're going to have to deal with. That really wasn't easy, and it was really overwhelming. I don't remember a whole lot about the training. I remember there was a young couple there that had a baby that didn't have.
Oh yeah, they didn't have health insurance. They were crying, that poor couple.
Yeah.
That was a heartbreaking moment.
Yeah, I think about them a lot. I'm just wondering where they're at and how they're doing, how the baby's doing.
Yeah, that was hard for me and my mom to see because we have all this coverage, and then we were too worried to tell anybody. Yeah,
that you had coverage because there's, I know a lot of my friends, I'm really glad I have really good benefits now, but for 4 years in my adulthood, I didn't have any benefits. I was paying for all of my stuff out of pocket.
That was a hard time.
Oh, I spent a lot of time crying in the car about not having health insurance. Thankfully, Canada does have some good pharmacare, but they cut you off after a certain amount, and that's hard. So I remember that, and I remember them being hey, this is an insulin pump, this is syringes, this is insulin, this is how you count your carbs. And I remember just thinking this is my life now. I guess I have to learn how to do this. And I remember the lady was hey, who wants to give Felicia a needle first? Yeah. And everyone was you want to stab my 8-year-old with a needle for the rest of her life? I don't want to do that. I didn't give my first needle. I think you gave me my first.
I stepped right up and said, I'll do it.
Yeah, I remember that. And I remember they were going to get you to prick my own finger. But I remember I took that on. Yeah. So I was this is my illness. This is what I have to do for the rest of my life. I'm going to learn how to prick my own finger.
Well, I wanted to give you the first needle so you weren't worried about coming home.
Yeah. Oh, man. I remember do you remember when, like, we came home from the hospital and, like, you had, like, it was like a piano recital or something. I don't know why I was doing a piano recital. I did a lot after getting diagnosed. I think I was going to like a piano recital or something, and Zach was terrified of needles.
Yeah.
Till the day that he passed, terrified of needles. He could never give me a needle.
No.
Could never be in a room when I gave myself a needle. Eventually got used to it.
Yeah.
But, like, I remember Zach was throwing up. Again. Threw up a lot during meals. In the bathroom. Mom was in the bathroom trying to help Zach. I was crying my eyes out because I didn't want to give myself any. Everything changed when I got home. Like, I think that there was a part of my brain that was like, well, when I leave the hospital, everything's going to be the same.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be fine. It's home. And then nothing was the same. And I remember just, like, crying my eyes out, and, like, you were trying to give me this needle, and, like, you just, like, took me upstairs and was like, look, if you don't take this needle, you are going to die. Like, you need to take this needle. Do you want to die? And I was like, no. And then you gave me the needle, and we were fine after that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
but I actually didn't really care.
Yeah. But it was good, because then I went to diabetes camp, and then I learned how to take my own needles.
Yeah.
Diabetes camp was great. I wish I did a Parkinson's camp. Like, diabetes camp was great, because I got to connect with other diabetics.
Yeah.
We didn't have, like, YouTube back then to do that.
No.
We had to pay it to go to camp.
Yeah.
We went to diabetes camp, and that was great. I got to connect with other diabetics, and I remember I came home, and I was like, guys, look what I can do, and then, like, I had everyone gather around to show them how I took my needle, and I remember I was sitting there, I was like, oh, I actually don't think I like it. I was so excited to show people that I could do my own needles now, but then I was trying to show everyone I didn't like it. So I think I had to, like, show people in, like, little groups of two how I could do, because we were all involved, like my auntie and my uncle and my grandparents and my mom and dad and my brother. Like, everyone was involved in this thing of, like, we all need to learn so, like, Felicia can live a normal life.
Yeah.
So, like, I went back to school, and I had to do this, like, whole presentation, like, showing, like, all the, like, the symptoms and stuff, and then one kid thought, like, my blood glucose was, like, a pager.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I don't know how 8-year-olds knew what pagers were. So I had to do that, and then, like, I had to change the time, because you had to eat, like, 8 in the morning, 10:15, 12 o'clock, 2 p.m., 5 p.m., and 7 p.m.
Yeah.
You have to eat at very specific times, which is funny, because that's what Parkinson's has to do.
It's so similar. I'm surprised we've never had this conversation.
We've never had this conversation.
No.
So I had a very strict regimen. Mom had to come to the school at those specific times.
Oh, poor Mom.
Yeah, she never left the school. She'd, like, bring all her, like, cooking stuff and, like, chop up all her vegetables for dinner in the parking lot. And then, like, she would just leave her car at, like, her spot and then walk home because we only lived, like, a block from the school.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she always had to come and do that. And then, like, I did my presentation. And it was really sweet. Like, I did have some really good friends because I had to, like, everyone ate. Recess was at 12. Everyone else ate at 12:15, but 12:45, but I had to eat at 12. So, like, the teacher was like, does anyone, like, want to eat, like, with, like, Felicia at 12? And, like, no one raised their hand.
Aww.
Except for this, like, one kid, like, you remember Scott? Like,
what a sweetheart
he was a really good kid. So he would always eat lunch with me. He was really sweet. And then I remember, like, it was, like, I don't know, like, a week after I went to school. And we were still trying to figure out blood sugars and eating routines and everything. And I just, like, threw up everywhere because I think my blood sugar was so high. And he was so sweet. Like, he sat with me, like, while, like, everyone was, like, waiting. He, like, rubbed my back. And he's like, it's going to be okay. And, like, I was so embarrassed. He was a really good kid.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, he was a really good kid. And then, like, it changed friendships. Like, I couldn't go over to people's houses anymore because I get it. Parents didn't want something to happen.
Oh, gosh, I don't blame them.
In case I was there. So, like, I couldn't go to people's houses. Everyone had to come to my house. My first play date at someone else's house, the mom was a nurse.
Yeah.
That was nice. And then, like, it's like it's kind of shown what people are going to stick around and what people aren't.
Mm-hmm.
I have this really good friend now in, like, my hometown. She's, like, really, really wonderful. She takes care of me really well. Like, if I'm having a bad diabetes day and, like, I need something, like, I can just call her and she'll pick it up and come drop it off at my house. Mm-hmm. And, like, she'll make me dinner if I need to, and that's been really great. And she's really gotten involved and learned how to do that. But I think, like, just growing up and, like, going to school and, like, making friends, like, it really shows, like, what friends are going to be present and what people aren't going to be present. Because I think when someone wants to learn and get involved with your illness, that shows like a different level of care and attention in that friendship.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, because you want to feel safe with them.
Yeah.
Like, if something goes like there's like my job requires me to travel quite a bit, which is funny because I hate traveling. But like I don't feel super safe traveling unless I'm with someone that like I've trained on how to use like my glucagon, because if I go too low I can go into a seizure. If I go too high I can go into a seizure. I've never had a seizure, thankfully. But like they need to know how like everything works. They need to know my glucagon. They need to know what to tell like the paramedics when they get there. They need to know like my blood sugar. They need to know everything like that. So I require a lot of extra attention in a friendship, which is good and bad, but I think it just kind of weeds out the people that you're like, oh, those aren't my friends.
Yeah, some really good wisdom there. Yeah, some really, really good points. Many similarities to Parkinson's in there, very much so. Okay, well, thank you, Felicia. Thank you, everyone, for watching and supporting this channel. And don't forget to enter the giveaway, leave a comment below. And let's take this journey together, and we'll see you on the next video here in a little while. We're going to continue into part 2 of 3.
Bye.
Bye.